Hello, all, and welcome to the Citizens' Right and Security, the podcast that keeps you informed on security, governance, citizens' rights, women empowerment, and gender related issues in Nigeria. My name is Hadiza Abubakar, your host, and I am excited to introduce you the third episode of our new season themed Building Bridges, Empowering Voices. Today, we'll be discussing a topic titled One Mission, Many Voices, introducing the Mixed Observers Team. The Mixed Observers Team MOT is a vital initiative bringing together representatives from formal security agencies, informal security institutions, government bodies, and community organizations across Niger and Kaduna states. MOTs play a crucial role in preventing, responding to, and supporting the persecution of gender based violence cases while addressing broader security concerns in our communities. To enhance security and justice efforts, PWAN facilitated the creation of six MOT observers teams across Niger and Kaduna states. PWAN ensured that MOT members receive specialized training in mediation, justice, and security, equipping them to efficiently engage with communities and strengthen intervention. Today, we'll be shedding light on the MOTs and their crucial role in fostering safe environments, particularly for women and marginalized groups. Let's dive into the impact of these themes and the ongoing efforts they make to create justice and security accessible to all. So, join us as we discuss the Mixed Observer team and the role they play in our society by highlighting the progress made in strengthening security and justice services and the areas that still need improvement. We aim to emphasize the crucial importance of MOTs in ensuring safety and protecting the rights of vulnerable population in Nigeria. In this episode, we'll be discussing the experiences, successes, and challenges of the MOT. To discuss this important topic, I am joined by Gimba Abubakar, an Assistant Program Officer at our Niger office. Welcome, Gimba.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me this time.
Oh, you're welcome. So, without wasting so much time, let's just get right into the conversation. So, can you tell us who the MOTs are?
First, just as you have rightly introduced me, my name is Kimba Bakar Sadiq, Program Assistant, Partners West Africa, Nigeria, Ninja Office, and diving in to speak about what the Mixed Observer Team are or is. Currently, in Niger State, during the program, community engagement, access to justice, and protection of marginalized population. Under this team, we had what we call the Mixed Observer Team. And the Mixed Observer Team is the coming together of entirely a woman's squad drawn from different parts or different walks of life, most of which has to do with the community. Just as the theme is community development, they have to come from that community where they are situated. Like for instance, in Niger State during that time, when the program was ongoing, it was 4 local governments were selected. That is Lapai, Suleja, Oso, and Bida local government. So most of these women came from all these local governments where PWAN situated this to happen. And the Mixed Observer Team, just as I said earlier, is the coming together of women from different walks of life, coming from the security architecture, the community, and also the Emirate Council. We have women from the Nigerian Police Force, women from the NSCDC, women from Vigilante Squad, the women leaders from human rights, child rights. At some point, we even felt it was important we have school teachers and nurses. While we continue this discussion, I'll tell you the reason why it was important for we to have school teachers and nurses as part of the MOT. This is basically those who make the team, Mixed Observer Team, and that is why it is mixed, because they are all coming from different walks of life, different ministry, representing different ministry, including Ministry of Women Affairs. At some point, we have Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, because they have roles to play. What they do mostly is to be able to identify or be able to follow up with cases once anything relating to violence happen in the community. How does this come? How does this play? Is that as the mixed observer team, you will be able to encounter one or two cases. For instance, in the police station, if you are the gender desk officer, one or two cases will be reported to you at some point in time. And some of these cases don't have those attention they deserve in the police station. Some of them, you will see that in the police station, people whom their cases are not much or their problems are not much, they will be detained for a longer time against the rules or the constitution of the country. So what this does is that as a police desk officer, if you see cases like this, you can report to the mixed observer team, because as a police officer, you are part of the mixed observer team. Then the mixed observer team, part of which we have lawyers, can easily pick up the case and then follow up the case in the court. This is also in a similar vein where we have people from the Emirates Council, because we have people from the Emirates Council, and being from the Emirates Council, also cases are being reported to the Emir. And because you are someone who is representing the Emirates Council, you will have access to hearing some of this information that you feel it's important for the mixed observer team to pick up and help. Most of which I feel were dealt with at some point in time. This is what the mixed observer team are or is.
Okay, so yes. The mixed observer team here, they are just made up of women, right?
Yes, it's a group of women, basically.
Is there a reason behind why it is only women?
Yes, I think there is a reason behind it, and mostly because most of these cases happen to women most, and that is why it has to do with vulnerable persons. Vulnerable persons in this case may not necessarily mean those who are poor or somebody. It can also, we can easily categorize women as those who are vulnerable at some point in time. So vulnerable persons in this aspect has to do with women generally. And because some of these cases, due to researches and findings, has identified that most of these things that has to do with violence relate to women most. And being a woman, you may not feel comfortable to explain some of these things explicitly to men or the other gender. So it's easier to explain some of these things with women, your fellow women. You can feel free to explain, especially if it has to do with something that relates to rape, forced marriage, and so on. Some of these cases that happen. So it's like a woman to woman thing, and the discussion is open. And this can give easy access for women to support women and then develop women in the community.
Okay, and when these cases are taken up, they are acted on efficiently?
Yes, it depends on the case, because there are certain cases that the mixed observer team don't follow. For instance, when it comes to land issue, house issue, some people felt since they are women and I'm involved in a land dispute, not necessarily something that has to do with, let's say, inheritance or so, but maybe I obtain a land, and I feel this land belongs to me, and I'm having an issue maybe with the Miangwa or the leaders of the community, and you want the mixed observer team to pick it up to you. They have a target. Most of the mixed observer team, all of them, in fact, that we were operating with in Niger State, they all have their slogans, they all have their aims, they have their objectives, and they follow through these objectives. They basically follow things that has to do with violence, gender-based violence. And in most cases like this, where they feel gender-based violence is affected in some cases, then they come in, even if it's outside their motto or their slogan. They come in because there are some things that may not necessarily be what is relating to what their aim is, but along the line, violence can come in and they will come and support. So all of this, I think, as we dive into discussions, I will explain to them and I'll give some of narration of things of such that has happened before.
Okay, so can you shed more light on how P1 came up with this initiative to establish the mixed observer team?
Yes, Partners West Africa and Nigeria came up with this initiative of mixed observer team to be able to tackle issues from the grassroots. Remember when I started earlier, I said it's the coming together of women from different walks of life to be able
Yeah.
to identify cases that can easily be followed either in the courts, in the police station, etc. So it depends. The Partners West Africa felt it was important that we have these people or representation from these walks of life to come and support vulnerable population, people who are poor, people who are disability, which is one key aspect of the team, people who are marginalized entirely. And so I think the idea behind this, that Partners West Africa came up with this, they want all persons that are suffering from violence to be represented and cases should be identified so that easily it can be tackled from the grassroots up to the final stage.
So, was there a particular case that you don't just sit and come up with something? There might have been so many researches, maybe an event happened, and then they felt that okay, why not we come up with this? Was there like a particular case that pushed for this initiative?
Well, I can't really say I don't know if there was a case of such that came up with this initiative, but I felt there is a high rate of rape and abuse that is happening in Niger State. And I think the research shows that women are mostly affected in this category. Hence, the reason why I feel PWAN came up with this initiative to be able to tackle some of these issues that they have been able to identify in the community.
Okay, so can you at least tell us about their mission in enhancing security and justice? What effort are they putting?
Yes. So first, what they did is to get a buy-in to the community by paying courtesy visits to prominent persons in different local governments where the mixed observer team is situated. Some of them started by visiting the Emirate Council, easily identified by those who were selected or led by those who were selected from the Emirate Council. They also visited the police divisions in most of these localities. They visited the NDLEA. They visited all these personnel that came together to form the mixed observer team to get a buy-in. And then secondly, they started by giving orientation, having awarenesses in different places. They go to schools, they go to communities, they go to marketplaces, they go to Islamic schools, they go to churches, they meet pastors, they meet imams, because some of these people are key stakeholders where easily when violence occurs, they get first-hand information about it. So they felt if they meet these people and then tell them, oh, this is what we are here for, and this is what we want to do. One thing that will baffle you is that people get to queue into this project, immediately they understand that whatsoever these people are coming to is going to be free of charge. You're not paying for lawyer, you're not paying for anything. This is going to be free of charge. They just want to help you because they want to reduce the menace that is happening in the community. So most of their aims, most of their missions were situated around gender-based violence. You see, one thing in Niger State here is there are certain things that we look at that we may not even see it as violence because we are fully something that has to do with religion, and then the religion probably says the woman has to be totally submissive to her husband. So most of the husbands feel that submission is just like slavery. You need to be enlightened. Even in the Quran that they said no, it's not like because she's your partner, she's your love partner, there are certain things that you must do to her in order to get a buy-in. It's not like you say, okay, cooking is yours, fetching water is yours, sweeping is yours. All I have to do as a man is to provide food, and that's all. I won't do anything. No, that's not the point. Some of this enlightenment has to come in. Some of these things, some of these people, they say, okay, they practice this, but they don't know what it really means. Even Islam did not say you should do that. So I felt when they were going around, they were able to inculcate this message into people's mind changing their mindsets to understand that they have certain aims that they want to achieve in the community. And as they were diving in, some of these things were paying off actually.
All right, so we'll be going on a short break, but we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Citizens' Rights and Security podcast. We're just discussing an interesting topic titled One Mission, Many Voices, introducing the mixed observer team. Can you tell us how P1 facilitated better cooperation between formal security agencies, informal institutions, and the community organizations?
Yes, I think this was one of the strong thing I think P1 fought, because bringing in these people from different places and giving them tasks to accomplish is not something that seems easy initially, because everybody feel I'm a boss in where I'm coming from, and especially like the police, they feel they are ahead of everybody. Yes, they are ahead of everybody when it comes to security architecture and ranking. But then you are bringing them into this place where you want everybody to work and you want cooperation and understanding among all of them. So what I think, the P1 first gave them a handbook that will be like a guide, so that they won't have issues that will be bringing setback to them. Firstly, through those guides, some of the things I can recall is that they need to have either weekly or monthly meetings or emergency meetings, as the case may be. There are certain things that will demand physical meeting, and there are some that will demand online meetings, just like the way they all because they all have a WhatsApp group where they communicate to each other. So there are some things that have to come up physically, and some will have to come as emergency, as the case may be. But strictly from the handbook, they are supposed to be observing either weekly or monthly meetings. The monthly meetings is compulsory. They have to fix a date through which our focal persons will be there to serve as an eye for the partners West Africa and guide them through if they are having misconception about one or two things. Then another thing that brings them together is that they are supposed to conduct an activity on a monthly basis. So conducting activity also bring this mixed observer team together, because in one way or the other, tasks will be shifted. One will be assigned to different tasks, and it can be in different locations as long as it is in that local government or the community. Another one is that P1 has organized some seminars and workshops for them, training to facilitate and update their mindset about what the MOT is. I remember at some point when the monitoring and evaluation team came up, they felt the mixed observer team were deviating from their initial aims and objectives, and they recommended that a training should be reconducted, just like a retraining of certain things that have happened before, so that they will have a refresh, or they will have a rethink of certain things that they are deviating from. Then they have something that has to do with election and leadership. Normally, the election is supposed to happen on a quarterly basis after every 4 months, so that everybody will feel involved. Everybody will feel that he is participating. Let them have the sense of belonging that, yes, I'm in a group or I'm in a team, and I want to contribute my quota for the success of the team. Except for certain groups or certain mixed observer team that will say, okay, no, we don't want to conduct election. We are satisfied with those who are our leaders and want them to continue. Scenarios or scenes like this have happened along the way, but some, they follow that procedure and they had this change of leadership. So all of these things coming together has made the security architecture, including those from Emirate Council and everything, to work together for the success of the mixed observer team in their local government.
That's interesting. So, what are some of the biggest security challenges community face, particularly regarding gender-based violence, and how do these MOTs help address them?
You see, I don't know if I could categorize it as a security challenge, or basically, let me say some of the violences that are happening in the community. First, I will tell you they have forced marriage, they have child marriage, they have physical violence, they have divorce cases, child trafficking, child hawking, almagery, and so on. So all of these things compounded, they are happening in all these areas. Forced marriage, for instance, let me say in Peter, there is a scenario that happened where we had a girl who was 15 years old, and the friend to her father want to marry her to one of his own friend. I'm talking of someone who is about 70 years old like this.
Wow.
70, and she's 15. And he want to give that child out to that man of 70. And the girl says she don't want to marry. She don't like the man. He's too old. She cannot be with him. There's nothing. Now the father, they have this cultural beliefs in Bida that you have to obey whatsoever your parents say. Like you don't have an option on your own. And where this problem come in is that the lady is the one that is going to stay with the husband you are providing for her. She should be able to have one or two things to say. But no, they don't give room for that. They'll be like, you have to. This is what I want for you. Yes, we understand certain situations where parents are supposed to get a good husband, check the background. But in situations like this, she says she doesn't want. You want to force her. And yes, they forced her to marry. And in most cases, these are some of the things that will lead to violence. Because at the end of the day, you are forcing her to marry someone she don't like. She don't even want to cook with him. She don't want to cook for him. She don't want to consummate with him. She don't want to do anything relating to him. What do you think will happen at the end of the day? You're already bringing violence. Because most times, if these things happen and they start fighting or she injure him, she say, don't come close to me, she take a harmful substance and get... Nobody will think of all the scenarios that have happened before. At that point, people will just be like, oh, the damage has been done. This is what she has done. So all of these things are things that we felt is wrong. Then we have one big challenge that has to do with child hawking. There is a high number of child hawking, especially in the north, or let me single-handedly say in Nigeria here. And the child hawking is not what is wrong, is per se. But there are times where the mixed observer team felt it was wrong for a child to hawk. For instance, a time that the child is supposed to be in school, you see him in car parks, you see him in markets, hawking up and down. And some of these children, they cannot even go back home because they have a standing rule that what I put to you, what I gave you to go and sell, if you're unable to finish selling, don't come back home. You see how severe things like this can be in our places. And then it will get to a point that it will fall into late nights. The child is unable to sell some of this product that he has been assigned to, and then he will be unable to come back home, or she will be unable to come back home. At the end of the day, exposing her to a lot of dangers, exposing her to a lot of violences that are happening in the community. So all of these things are some of the things that mixed observer team were fighting. Another challenge is divorce cases. We have situations where husbands will say, okay, I divorce you because of this, because of that. And even in Islam here, we have situations where if you have a certain number of children and a husband divorces you, the woman can decide to say, okay, she wants to be in the house because of the children. But we have cases where the husband will say no, he wants her to be out. And before you know, they'll be going back and front to court cases and so on. So I think there are a lot of problems like this. And then we have something that has to do with almagery here. It's also happening here around Mina, Bida, Lapai, all of these local government that were selected for the mixed observer team to operate. We have Almajiri, and I remember at some point in time where we have a case of sodomy in Boso local government involving Almajiri children and one beggar. His own aim is to sodomize little children in the community. I think if you look at some of these scenarios, when we went to the police station when the case was reported and we went to the police station to pull up, God of mercy, if you didn't shed tears, God, it was a painful thing to watch that day, I remember. Because imagine worms coming out from the anus of a child. Because he has not done it once, he has not done it twice. He has destroyed the boy's life. I remember Mr. Toby then was like saying, why can't they just pass a sentence for people like this to just be killed without any evidence or without any long process of looking for this? Because we were trying to curtail it, but we were angered by what we saw. So all of these cases are things that happen in the community.
So when these things happen, how did the mixed observers team come in? Do they report the cases to police? Do they take the person to court? How did they solve the issue?
First, it depends on where the case is identified. If the case is identified from the Emirate Council, they will quickly report to the police. Easily, one networking platform they had is coming together of all of them from different walks of life. So when a case is identified like that, it can easily be picked from, or it will be channeled to the appropriate person that will take over the case. For instance, if it has to involve a child, they will involve someone from the child right agency. If it has to involve the police or NDLEA, if it has to do with drugs, he will provide his advice. And even if it's the one that deserves to have a lawyer, they will assign one of the lawyers from the mixed observer team to start following up the case. So what all these things means is that it's the networking that happens within the mixed observer team, the coming together to promote or to see the end to all this violence when it occurs is one key factor that I cherish about the mixed observers. For instance, now, if we identify a case in the community, one person can just post the case in the group. Oh, so thing has happened in so place. What do we do? Before you know, they will start saying this thing. They will now analyze the case. This case has to do with a child. Madam so from child rights, what do you advise? She will say, okay, this case is beyond us. This is how we want to do. No, this case is supposed to be for the police. Let police handle it. This case is supposed to go to court when it gets to police. Then let's give it to a lawyer so that they will start follow up. So all of this networking that happen within the mixed observer team is something that you will cherish. Then we said one challenge they used to have then is that it's the monetary aspect of it, because sometimes when you follow up cases, and it's not like you are being funded to do that. What they do is they tax themselves on a monthly basis from the stipend that they're being paid to be able to carry out or to follow up some of these cases. But in a situation where the case comes or becomes beyond the mixed observer team, the room of the partners West Africa and Nigeria is always open. So we can also either give them a lawyer or we'll follow up the case here in Mina to the headquarters, especially if it has to do with the SSS or DSS. So I think that is how they follow up cases when it arises in the community.
Oh, that's really interesting. So since the mixed observer team started their operation, what are the changes you've seen in the community, their attitude towards security institutions?
Yes, there are serious changes, especially from the feedback we got from different stakeholders, different members of the community when we go for sensitization or when our monitoring and evaluation team comes to find out what the mixed observer team are doing in the community, because this gives people the morale to speak out. It gives more rooms for people to report cases because they know that it will be followed. Then actions will be taken each time they report a case. Now, people became aware that the mixed observer teams are in existence. Not only in existence, they were also aware of the kind of work they do in the community. And one funny aspect is that aside from all these things they know about the mixed observer team, the beautiful aspect of this is that it's difficult for someone in the community to say he doesn't know one member of the mixed observer team. And that is to say there were people that came from that community to form to stand for you. It's just like saying, okay, I have a case. Instead of me to go to so place, I already have a neighbor who is part of the mixed observer team that I know that if I report to her, she will pick up the case immediately. Then there was also a fear of doing anyhow in the community. The men became more, they became more afraid because they know, they become more careful of certain things they will do because they know that there are people in the community that will take actions immediately. Then there was Emirate Council again. The Emirate Council mostly refer cases to the mixed observer team because people don't. There is this stigma of when cases happen, I don't want to go to the police station. People always target like, no, police station will not do what I want. Also, some people don't want anything that has to do with lawyers or going to court. So they prefer to go to either imams or traditional institutions where their problem can easily be solved. So most of these cases, if it goes to the imams or goes to the Emirate Council, as the case may be, trying to make sure that everything is solved within a twinkle of an eye. Some of these cases will now be referred back to the mixed observer team because both the Imams Forum and the Emirate Council were aware of the activities of the mixed observer team. Good enough to good things have happened that the that the Emirates were aware of. Certain cases have been handled by the MOTs, and yes, they were doing well in some of these cases. I remember in Bida where the emir was having his 70th birthday and is it 25 years on the throne or 20 years on the throne, and during his speech he recommended the mixed observer team for the activities they are doing in the community. He said he's aware. So that means it got to a point that the community know that these people are in existence, and if case come up, the case will be followed. So there were changes in the community that accommodated most of the activities of the mixed observer team.
So thank you, Gimba, for sharing such insightful knowledge and for the incredible work you do. Your expertise has truly shed light on the realities of the mixed observer team and their efforts in championing for justice and security. As we wrap up this important conversation on how the MOTs enhance security and justice efforts, it's clear that ensuring community safety, particularly for women and marginalized groups, is a crucial step towards meaningful change. Access to justice and security is not just an individual concern. It is a societal issue that requires collective action from individuals, community, and institutions. Through the work of PWAN and the MOTs, individuals and community are receiving the support they need and awareness of rights and protection is growing. Everyone has a role to play by advocating for fair justice processes, supporting security initiatives, and holding institutions accountable. If you or someone you know need assistance with security concerns or gender-based violence, help is available. Let's continue working together to build a secure and just system that upholds the rights of all individuals. As we wrap up on today's episode of Citizens' Rights and Security Podcast, We hope you are looking forward to the next episode, and we are looking forward to having you join the conversation. Before we go, we'd love to say a big thank you to our amazing listeners. We are grateful for your engagement and support. Your commitment to creating a more just and equitable society is what drives us to keep doing this work. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more people with our message. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms at Partners Nigeria to stay up to date on our latest episodes, news, and events. And if you're interested in learning more about P1's work or getting involved in our initiative, visit our website at partnersnigeria.org. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll catch you up on the next episode of Citizens' Rights and Security. Bye.